Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
President-elect Donald Trump's choice of Tulsi Gabbard as U.S. intelligence chief has sent shockwaves through the national security establishment, adding to concerns that the sprawling intelligence community will become increasingly politicized. Well, you know, what I always say about the intelligence community is I'm glad it's not politicized. I'm glad they're just doing balls and strikes over there. I'm glad they don't have an agenda or anything.
It's one of our last great institutions still standing.
It really is. Them and the fire department. So here, the kind of crackerjack journalism you expect from The Atlantic. They wrote a whole thing. Tulsi Gabbard's nomination is a national security risk. President-elect Donald Trump has nominated former Rep. Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. The officer of the Director of National Intelligence was created after 9/11 to remedy what American policymakers believed was a lack of coordination among the various national intelligence agencies, and the DNI sits atop all of America's intelligence services, including the CIA.
I think what caused 9/11 was a lack of desire to not have it happen. That's what I think.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was.
I think that's more what it was than a lack of coordination. I think it was a lack of desire to prevent it from happening.
Yes. Some people are saying that.
Yes. Some very smart, some much smarter people are saying that than the people who called Tulsi Gabbard, the people who smeared Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard is stunningly unqualified for almost any cabinet post. They don't even want her as the chef. As are some of Trump's other picks, but especially for ODNI. She has no qualifications as an intelligence professional. Literally none. She is a reserve lieutenant colonel who previously served in the Hawaii Army National Guard with assignments in medical, police, and civil affairs support positions. She has won some local elections and also represented Hawaii in Congress. Well, that's more qualified than Obama was when you backed him for president. In early 2017, while still a member of Congress, Gabbard met with Assad, saying that peace in Syria was only possible if the international community would have a conversation with him. That's terrible. That's terrible. She felt that we should have a conversation with a hostile power in order to make peace.
Well, you didn't know that? The way to make peace is you only talk to friends. That's how you make. That's how you keep peace.
Well, no. Usually, you do like a dance where you throw bones in the air or do some chanting. Right? You're not supposed to talk to them. Quote: "Let the Syrian people themselves determine their future, not the United States, not some foreign country," Gabbard said, after chatting with a man who had stopped the Syrian people from determining their own future by using chemical weapons on them. Now, folks, that is how propaganda works, as we'll see. 2 years later, she added that Assad was, quote, "not the enemy of the United States because Syria does not pose a direct threat to the United States," and that her critics were merely warmongers. So the way the propaganda works is it doesn't matter. It always reminds me of the Eddie Murphy joke about cheating. Deny it. Even if she has pictures, deny it. Right. Doesn't matter what evidence is there. That's why they're still talking about all the mass rapes on October 7th. It doesn't matter how many times they are not able to come up with evidence from people who are sympathetic to that claims. Will tell you the New York Times had to revise its stories and its reporting. And we are not saying that no sexual assaults were committed on that day. But this story of mass rapes, beheaded babies, there is no evidence for this, but they just keep saying it. Every time they talk about it, doesn't matter. Same thing with the chemical attacks. UK intelligence, this is from our friends at the Gray Zone, UK intelligence spun 2013 Syria chemical attack, leaked docs show. U.S. officials suppressed internal assessments that al-Qaeda's Syrian wing had an advanced sarin production cell, even as the U.S. publicly blamed the Assad government for a 2013 chemical weapons attack, a report reveals. Leaked documents obtained by the Gray Zone show a shadowy British intelligence contractor helped sell the story that Assad was responsible and nearly triggered Western intervention. So if any of you haven't checked it out, go to the Gray Zone, check out that story published last year. Here is Barry Weiss in a very now infamous appearance on the Joe Rogan show, smearing Tulsi Gabbard.
Yep, we're going to show this again, and this has special significance on the Jimmy Dore show because, as I understand, this clip, when it originally came out, is still the most viewed clip in the history of the Jimmy Dore show. I believe that's true. Yeah, Jimmy could confirm that, but it was true at the time that, I first met him and we talked about it.
Well, Malcolm's watching. Malcolm, confirm or deny.
Can you fact check that? This clip, when this was first showed on the Jimmy Dore show, this was the most viewed video clip in the history of this show. So this carries a little bit of special significance here, but let's take another look.
Angela Brand. Oh, monstrous. Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had...
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
Like toeing the line? Is that what it means?
Shonda to the wife's name.
That's an Ivy League education there for you folks.
What does that mean?
Oh my God.
I think it means.
Toady. Definition of toadies. A person who flatters or defers to others for self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
That's
you should probably go with that.
Known about her.
Just take the off ramp.
What did she say?
We have to look. I don't remember the details. I've read it.
Should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
Well, I have read it.
I mean, we should right now.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Joe is a comic. He's giving you a pitch. Just say yes. Yeah. Just say yes. Yeah. Just say yes. Stop digging. Yeah.
She's not from. She's not from that world.
She's not from that world. Not from. He's giving you a way out.
Say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
I have read it.
No, we should right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just so we know what she said.
I've had her on here before.
I really enjoy talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay.
I like talking to her. I don't know about...
I think she's like the motherlode of bad ideas.
Whoa.
It's just a brutal video.
Pretty positive about that, especially on Assad. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong.
Well, I find Barry Weiss to be one of the most loathsome people on the planet, and it still is painful to watch this. Like, as much as I don't like her, it still makes me cringe to watch this. Yeah.
Yes, I would play it.
My take on her was that I think as a person who's coming from the left, who's also a veteran, and is very articulate and sensible and a woman, and in talking to her, we didn't get into Assad or any of those things, but talking to her about what she feels is wrong with the current administration and the way things are running and a direction she thinks things could go in. She had some very promising ideas. I didn't know about this.
But did she ever apologize for believing in conversion therapy?
I didn't even know she believed in conversion therapy.
Am I crazy?
You know who believes in conversion therapy? Palestinians.
Yeah, damn it. So
why don't you go to Gaza and get some conversion therapy?
Malcolm says by more than double, by the way.
That's the record-setting clip. Okay, so I was right about that.
I didn't even know that. Barry Weiss, speaking of conversion therapy, stood in a room full of Christian conservatives and said, I know you don't approve of my marriage. Some of you don't, but you are my true people. And why did she say that? Because they're Zionists. There is a pogrom unfolding right now on the streets of Amsterdam. This is the quality of reporting that you get from Barry Weiss. And here's a response from an actual person in Amsterdam. A pogrom? Go fuck yourself. I'm Jewish and live in the Netherlands, and I'm proud to see the complete and total rejection of fascist Nazi Zionism in our streets. There's an actual Zionist Holocaust against Palestine right now, and per usual, Zionists are committed to playing the victim. Caitlin Johnston weighed in on this incident. The way raw video evidence debunked the Amsterdam pogrom narrative in real time, in full view of the entire world, is exactly why Israel hates journalists. It's why it won't let the Western press visit Gaza, and it's why it murders Palestinian journalists at every opportunity. So I bet Barry Weiss is really upset about the Tulsi nomination now. Oh, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. This is Tulsi's tweet. Islamist, this is from November 1st, 2023. Islamist jihadists, both Sunni and Shiite, openly call for wiping out all Jews from the face of the earth. Yet Cori Bush, the Squad, and others support or act as apologists for such jihadists and say that Israel is guilty of human rights abuses and genocide. This is one of the main reasons I left the Democratic Party. Maybe she didn't hear about their support for genocide, because it is led by and rife with apologists for Islamist jihadists. So, hey, man, it seems to me that reconciliation between Barry and Tulsi, maybe on the Joe Rogan show, is just around the corner, because it seems like their views have come more into alignment since that clip was dropped.
Here's an idea.
Gabbard shilling for Assad is a mystery, but she's even more dedicated to carrying Putin's water. Putin! Tom Rogan, a conservative writer and hardly a liberal hand-wringer, summed up her record succinctly in the Washington Examiner today. Quote, she has blamed NATO and the U.S. for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Again, to the celebration of both Russian and Chinese state media, has repeated Russian propaganda claims that the U.S. has set up secret bioweapons labs in that country, and has argued that the U.S., not Russia, is wholly responsible for Putin's nuclear brinksmanship. Now, this is once again how propaganda works. They ignore evidence. They just repeat lies. And for the kinds of people who read The Atlantic and think it's news, they take it seriously. So here's Glenn Greenwald. Still strange. Rubio asked Victoria Nuland if Ukraine has bioweapons, thinking she'd say no. Instead, she said they have biological research facilities too dangerous to let Russia get. Anyone who noticed was branded a conspiracy theorist. Let's see the video.
I only have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure.
Well, so why is Tulsi out of line to point out something that establishment psychopath in good standing Victoria Nuland herself said under oath? Clearly it's true. That's the kind of reporting you get out of The Atlantic. We've now nailed down two things that have been proven false that they make part of their case against Tulsi here.
Well, also, like, doesn't Tulsi's committed Zionism, doesn't her commitment to Israel kind of disprove that she's a Putin puppet? I mean, Russia is not pro-Israel. BRICS is generally pro-Palestine, right? So, like, wouldn't like if she was being controlled by Russia, would she be that fanatical on the Israel issue? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
that seems to be evidence against that.
This is what I'm going to have to start calling the Elizabeth Warren syndrome. Like, you have to be entirely their creature, or you're always suspect. If you ever kick out the fence, they're never going to let you in the club. You know, I think AOC is getting a pass because she's very young. They're clearly grooming her for one of the top spots in the corporation. Presidents should be given deference in staffing their cabinet, but this nomination should be one of the handful of Trump appointments where soon-to-be Majority Leader John Thune and his Republican colleagues draw a hard line and say no, at least if they still care at all about exercising the Senate's constitutional duty of advice and consent. Now, this is the thing about this. This is the thing. Okay, so let's say everything that you're saying is true. And this is going to be a running theme, I think, as we go through these appointments. You lost your ability to claim authority in such matters by propping up criminals like John Brennan. And as we will see, I'm not being hyperbolic in calling John Brennan a criminal. So let's take a look at what he had to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I do? Yep, sorry. My bad. I lost it for a second. Here it is.
Your thoughts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, Nicole, I think you and Tom Nichols have done a great job just underscoring all the concerns that people have about this appointment. Clearly, Tulsi Gabbard has taken actions and made statements over the past several years that really raise serious questions about her common sense, her judgment, as well as her political sympathies. Cozying up to Putin as well as to meeting with Bashar Assad, I think really does show that she doesn't have the type of perspective that is needed for somebody who's going to head up these 18 intelligence agencies. And as Tom Nichols said, she doesn't have any qualifications. The Director of National Intelligence, that's a really serious position and a very complex and complicated one that requires somebody who actually has an understanding of the intelligence community. It's like an orchestra conductor of all the different agencies and departments that are involved in the intelligence process. And I don't think she understands even the instruments that are involved in this orchestra, nor has she had any experience at the strategic level of running and leading a large, complex organization. And the Director of National Intelligence is, according to legislation, the president's principal intelligence advisor, the person who is responsible for making sure that the president's daily brief is put together in a very sound and forthright manner, the person who puts together the budget and the priorities of the intelligence community. So I know that this appointment is sending shockwaves here in the United States, but also around the globe in terms of, is this really somebody who Donald Trump is going to entrust with the care and the leadership of the intelligence community? An unserious pick for a serious position.
All right. So first of all, John, look at her. Look at you. Who would you rather get your fucking intelligence report from, okay? All right, so there's that matter, all right? So right there, he's winning. Right there, this is Trump winning. That aside, hey, man, so presumably John Brennan would consider himself somebody who's qualified, and the media considers him somebody who's credible. They constantly publish his op-eds and bring him on shows like that to say things like this. But John Brennan is a fucking criminal. John Brennan should be sitting in prison right now. A brief history of the CIA's unpunished spying on the Senate. Now, these same people who have rehabilitated this guy, they're the ones who scream about democracy. They're the ones who scream about the threat that Donald Trump represents and that Tulsi represents. This guy hacked into the Senate computers and lied about it to spy on their investigation of CIA torture programs, and he got away with it scot-free. Guess who made the decision about what the penalties were? A panel appointed by John Brennan to investigate. The State Department said on Tuesday, last March, Senator Dianne Feinstein accused the CIA of spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee as it labored to finalize its report on the torture of prisoners. Quote, I have grave concerns that the CIA's search may well have violated the separation of powers principles embodied in the United States Constitution, she said. I have asked for an apology and a recognition that the CIA search of computers used by its oversight committee was inappropriate. I have received neither. CIA Director John Brennan denied the charge. Nothing could be further from the truth, he said. We wouldn't do that. That's just beyond the scope of reason in terms of what we do. It would be months before his denial was publicly proved false. So he lied under oath. He directed the CIA, and that was part of what the investigation showed, the independent investigation showed, that Brennan directed the CIA to hack into the computers of the senators that were investigating the CIA. What could be more dangerous to democracy than a rogue intelligence agency hacking into the computers of the elected representatives who are trying to hold that agency accountable for its actions. And these same people who will cry their tears to you about Tulsi Gabbard will put this criminal on the air to tell you how dangerous Tulsi Gabbard is.
Yep.
So, an internal investigation by the CIA has found that its officers penetrated a computer network used by the Senate Intelligence Committee in preparing its damning report on the CIA's detention and interrogation program, the New York Times reported. The report by the agency's Inspector General also found that CIA officers read the emails of the Senate investigators and sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department based on false information. So I guess that's how, according to Brennan, I guess that's what makes you qualified for this position, that kind of behavior. So not to be outdone, this is from Max Blumenthal, AOCIA nods along with Joy Reid's McCarthyite, pro-war, pro-regime change case for opposing Tulsi Gabbard, then calls Tulsi pro-war without explaining why. This is the poser who boxed the squad into supporting $100 billion plus in military aid to Ukraine.
Haven't even gotten to Tulsi Gabbard potentially having access to national security information, and Russia loves it, loves her.
And I actually think almost more than Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard's appointment is devastating. And Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, as much as she says that she's an anti-war person, she's not.
Yeah.
She supports very pro-war
Israel?
individuals.
Israel? Right. Are you going to say Israel?
And let's be very clear.
Oh, no one's going to say Israel. That's so weird.
Is a pro-war nomination globally. Point blank, period.
As is Donald Trump as president of the United States.
I just like, on what basis? I mean, this is what kind of Max mentions in his tweet.
They don't need a basis.
Right. But this is what Max mentions in his tweet. They're like, on what basis can AOC claim that Tulsi Gabbard is pro-war in a more substantial way than she is, given her support for Ukraine funding, which is the most sort of on the nose? But then obviously, and we've sang this song a million times, support for Joe Biden at first and then Kamala Harris second while they perpetrate a genocide. Like, look, I can call Tulsi pro-war. Look, I don't really have much patience left in the tank for any of these pro-Israel people at this point. So I really have no more love left for Tulsi Gabbard in my heart. But AOC has no standing to make that charge. Like, I have standing to make that charge. Some people do, but not AOC.
Well, and the only basis that she has for saying that, because she is actually more dovish on everything but Israel. She's got the Zionist derangement about Israel like Trump's whole crowd does.
Right.
But
she has Arab derangement syndrome.
She has Palestine derangement syndrome. But on Ukraine, obviously she's more dovish. Obviously on Syria, much to their consternation, she's more dovish. And if you notice, that's the thing they won't mention. They won't say, well, she's hawkish on Israel, because they don't want to mess with that.
Well, I mean, if you're the squad, especially, I mean, you're finally being treated well on MSNBC. It took a while for them to be treated well on MSNBC, and now they finally are.
Now here is the good news. It looks like MSNBC really is up for sale. That's not just a gleeful rumor. And God knows how many of these people they would retain, but one would imagine that if somebody's going to put up money for that piece of shit, Joy Reid's going to be out of a job. She just left X. She probably should have waited to see how that sale was going to go, because she might
maybe Alex Jones will buy it.
She can get to maybe.
Well, get a little musical chairs going. You know, the Onion buys InfoWars, he buys MSNBC.
Yeah,
MSNBC buys Premier Magazine.
No, the ratings on CNN, on MSNBC, they've completely cratered. And we've talked about this. Their whole business model is that they're packaged with cable packages, that they don't make money on their own steam. So at this point, is it even enough? Is it
Right.
even enough to keep them afloat? Like I mean, when you're down to 18 people watching regularly, can you really, even with the bundling deals, keep these networks going? They might just disappear. I mean, they are dinosaurs. We knew 10 years ago most of their audience was 70 and up.
Right. Exactly.
Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.